Hey everybody, my name is Andell Wilkerson and welcome to the den. Today you're watching Just Sophie's Moesha review. I hope y'all are ready. You know that girl loves to talk and she got all the scoop about that show. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you enjoy this video. Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's your girl Just Sophie coming back at you with a Moesha show review. It has been long awaited. I've been meaning to do this since I started watching Moesha again. Your girl was procrastinating, okay? It was a lot going on. Let's get started. Let's start with Miss Moesha Mitchell, who was a writer, a journalist like myself. So I relate to her on that level. I saw a lot of reviews that had similar thoughts to what I already had, which is that she's very selfish, egotistical, all of these different things. And you know what? I'm gonna say this before I go into how I truly feel about her overall. I did appreciate the writers for writing a Black girl character who not only is a dark-skinned girl, she's intelligent, all of these different things. They allowed Moesha to be herself and to just, like, essentially she didn't fit into this one particular box. It wasn't like, oh, she got an attitude or she's rude or this or that. And that's just her specific character. There were layers to Moesha. There was not all the time the sweet friend. Like, for example, when she got Kim's favorite singer to sing for her, that was sweet. And even though she was intrusive into Hakim's life, I do think she had a heart underneath all that stubbornness, and she really was just trying to be a good friend. She just didn't know how to do it. She kind of was a little clumsy with her approach when it came to trying to help people. But I do believe deep down her heart was always in the right space, but sometimes it came off in a more negative way. So sis definitely, I'm sure by now, probably like did a lot of growing up, and you know, hopefully is not like that anymore with her friends or her husband or whomever she's with now. Moesha in the universe of Moesha. I'm not going to do a full character analysis on anyone, to be honest. I really want to talk about the core of the show. When I did Girlfriends, it was easier to really just go into each character. But for Moesha, I just felt like the writing itself was something that was more interesting to me. And I'm going to tell you why. But anyways, I am going to continue with Moesha. The cons, I would say, well, she was a great student, awful friend. Straight up. There were, you know, moments that were okay, but not all the time. They constantly fat shamed Kim. I think on the first episode or the second one, they were shaming her. She wanted to be a cheerleader. And later on down the line, there was a Halloween party where she wanted to dress up like Diana Ross. And her and Nisa were like, oh, she couldn't even find a size that fits her. And I was like, oh, hold up now. And I know, you know, I'm a fat girl, I'm a big girl, and I'm dressed like Moesha today. You know, regardless of the flaws of the show, I still appreciate the show for what it's worth. And I decided, and the style is iconic, okay? So I had to go to the thrift store, get me a little something to kind of, you know, show appreciation to Miss Brandy. You know what I'm saying? And things, you know, even though I didn't get the makeup right, but whatever. Y'all could judge me. I don't really care. Anyways, so like I was saying about Hakim and her relationship, she was a bit intrusive and also disrespectful to Hakim. Now, the funny thing about it is, like, Moesha's dad, Frank Mitchell, he kind of came off as if he made all this money. Mind you, he was a Saturn dealership salesman or whatever. You know, I don't remember if he was the owner or not. I don't think he was, but that's besides the point. So the thing about it is, like, okay, you live next door to Hakim, yet somehow you guys make so much more money. So I'm like,
are y'all really that rich, or is Hakim really that poor?
Because it didn't really see. And then later on in the seasons, what was it? His mom, come to find out, she had like 2 or 3 jobs and like she worked really hard. So they did technically have money. It just wasn't on the same level as Moesha. But regardless, I'm just like, y'all couldn't have been that rich, okay, if y'all was living next door to Hakim, who ain't had no money. It was always there for breakfast. So I'm just saying, honey. But anyways, I did feel like there were a lot of themes of classism at play with Moesha, with her father, and just the way he viewed Hakim, the way he viewed, what's his name, Q, Moesha's first boyfriend, or second, one of those. That's another thing. Moesha was bagging.
Moesha was bagging.
Okay, bagging. As a matter of fact, let me show y'all this clip of her asking Andell for some advice in the very first episode, like 5 or 7 minutes in, about love. Y'all ready? Here we go. Hey Moesha, how you doing?
I'm cool. What's up?
How about a strawberry celery smoothie?
Girl, is it good for skin? Because this zit got me mugging like the crib.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who your new friend was. You just waving. Hey, Andell. Just dab some toothpaste on it. It'll dry right up.
And you ever been in love?
Ugh. I've been in it, around it, and through it. I even been to the bank with it. That's when you know you went too far.
How do you know when it's real?
Well, when I was your age, I knew it was real when a boy would give me those butterflies in my stomach. Then I knew it was real when a man would offer to pay my rent.
Okay.
Now I know it's real when I offer to pay baby's rent.
Get that. I ain't paying no boy's rent.
That's right. So maybe you should stick to those butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah. Oh, and she was a Mac mama, okay? Moesha was a Mac. Moesha the Mac. She stayed with a man. I'm like, how you that stubborn, that rude, and always in your head, but you always got a man? How that work? How that work? Damn. I need to be more like Moesha because she always had a man, girl. And I'd be single as fuck. When she got to college, she was shaming somebody again. I don't really know if it was, I think it was another fat shaming thing. Anyways, she assumed that her roommate wouldn't be liked because of the way she looked. And it's like, what did you mean by that, Mo? What you trying to say, girl? Miss Girl, what does that mean? And that was a whole nother thing where, again, she was intrusive in a friendship and in a situation that had nothing to do with her. Like, that was her theme. But I realized she got a lot of her characteristics from her father. I don't know how her mother was, rest Moesha's mama's soul, because she was not in the show. But when you're older and you watch these shows from an adult lens, especially if you're in your late 20s or up, it's a whole different ball game. When I looked at the way that Frank treated Moesha, matter of fact, the way he treated all his children, Miles probably didn't get it the worst, but like, first of all, you have a whole illegitimate child, yet you're being so judgmental to everyone. How that work, Frank? How that work, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Saturn? How that work? Tell me how that work. Anyways, we gonna move on. She was a rude stepdaughter. I personally don't understand how she got away with half the stuff that she said. Like, but she was a rude stepdaughter. And one tweet I remember I wrote is like, that could have never flew or flied, whatever, in a Haitian household. And the funny thing is, Dee was Jamaican. I'm like, sis, you wasn't really showing your Caribbeanness for me. That girl should have been swallowing her teeth the way she was rude. Like, but I do understand at the same time, and that's the thing that I like about Moesha, is that the layers to her is that here is this young girl who, she's in school and she's in high school. She's about to be 18 in a few years. Her daddy is remarried to this woman. So now she's being reintroduced to a parent, essentially. And I've gone through a similar experience. And I know, like, and I was older, but I still was just like, who is this person that's quote unquote now my step somebody? I'm like, I don't know these people. I'm sorry. I'd never heard of her, never smelt her, don't know him. No, thank you. So I have personally rejected the term step somebody. I just call the person by their name, and that's straight up, because I didn't grow up with you. I don't know you like that. In Moesha's case, it's a little different. And granted, she did call D, which was fine. And I think they all called her D, which was fine. But anyways, the other thing that I realized is like, she really lived in her head and refused correction most times. And as a teenager, you're rebellious, things happen, but I feel like Moesha was just on a different level at times. Now, I will say the pros of her is that she was smart, she worked for the school paper, all these great things. She would journal to express herself. Now, the thing about that's funny, I think she would have a blog today or maybe even a YouTube. Like, I could see that. Like, when it came to like the show Half and Half, Mona at the end had a blog, and I was like, today she'd probably have a podcast, because sis had a lot to express. And so did Moesha through her journaling. And every time that song came on, it was time for her to get her expressions out, which is cool and it's great. So it did show a level of self-awareness, but it's like, girl, you were self-aware but not applying what you were writing about, or speaking of self-aware, I did appreciate them having that episode where the whole family went to therapy. I thought that was amazing. And I did notice that the more I rewatched these Black shows from the 90s and such, I noticed that there was a pattern. There were episodes where it would show like them trying to normalize therapy. Because I remember in Living Single, I believe it was Khadijah who said she had a therapist. I think, wait, was it her? I feel like it was her, and then somebody else ended up going as well, or I don't know. I can't recall all the way. But anyway, so back to Moesha. Whole family goes to therapy because of Miles. He was smoking what? Anyways, so they brought him to therapy trying to figure out what's going on, and it's understandable why those kids were acting out. They had a lot of transitions taking place, and they're like growing up. They're going into, Miles is coming from elementary to middle school. Moesha's going from high school into college life, adult life. So, they had a lot to deal with. So it's understandable why you know, they was flipping the fuck out. I would be too. Hell, I think I did in high school. Okay, Frank was low-key a Haitian dad. I don't care what nobody say. Low-key a Haitian dad, problematic as fuck, called her a whore, very judgmental, lied about Dorian being his son, talking about something, I'm your uncle. Sir, you deserve your ass beat for lying to your son about not being, like, really, bro? It's one thing when you just completely exit the child's life. They don't ever see you. They don't even know who you are. You've known this person and you've betrayed them on that level. Like, Frank was on some bullshit. He was cheap as hell, which, okay, most, whatever. A lot of dads are. But he did provide for his family. He was loving to his wife, children, accepting of Hakeem, etc. For the most part. You know, he's weirdish. But anyways, Frank got on my nerves. Whatever. And I will say this one other thing though, and I know a lot of people didn't like how his character was ruined per se by himself or by keeping secrets and being shady, but I realized that in another review somebody was saying that he cheated on Mo's mom, but I could have sworn there was an episode where he was explaining it to her like, no, we were separated and I happened to be, you know, dating someone because I thought we were really over and she wasn't going to come back to me. That's when I had Dorian. So I think there's a misconception that he cheated, or am I bugging? Y'all let me know in the comments, or if you could find the episode, because I really think he did say they were separated. Now, he could be lying. It could be a sack of shit of lies. I don't know, but that's what I recall. And I like to just kind of get the story straight. I don't like to just be making up my own things. Regardless, though, he kept a life-changing secret from his now wife plus 3 children and basically the whole community. Thought you had 2 children and you're like, sir. And then you have the nerve to be calling Mo all types of sluts and all this stuff. And it's like, sir, slow your roll, because if she a slut, you a slut too. It takes a slut to know a slut. Now what? Moving on. First of all, the 5th to the 6th season of Moesha, they wanted to be a soap opera so bad, bro. I don't know what was going on. Like, are y'all good? Like, relax. Days of Our Lives, One Life to Live, All My Children. Like, guiding light, calm it down. Take it down a notch. But I will say one thing about this whole Frank debacle. That messy auntie who revealed that he was really the father of Dorian, I was here for it, child. That would be me. I will admit, that would be me. I'm the one to be like, let's, you know, bring up these, you know, the secrets under this rug. Let's deal with the situation. Like, that's the auntie I am. Shoot, let's go. I'm with it, okay? Another thing that I've realized, and I realized this about a lot of the UPN lineup shows and just a lot of shows in general from back in the day, not even just Black shows. There is this fixation on relationships that gets on my nerve. And I realized that a lot of us grew up watching these shows and picking up on this energy that if you're not in a relationship, you are not whole. If you are not with someone and you're single, that means you're lonely, you're gonna die alone. Like, there's all these different stereotypes. And it's just like, I think I said this in Girlfriends. I believe I said this in my Girlfriends review. We need more shows, and we need to kind of get into this habit in society to explain to people, both men and women, and especially children who are growing up, that you don't have to be with someone to be full and to be whole and to live a life of greatness and happiness and positivity. Like, it's literally the reason why so many of us have attachment, detachment issues, codependency issues, all of these different things, because you grow up watching Disney, Cinderella stories, and all this different stuff where it's like,
I'm supposed to be in love, and I just, my Prince Charming, my princess.
it's like, bro, this shit is toxic. So there was that fixation, and I remember this one episode, I think this was when they were in college, it was, and Niecy was single, and everybody around her was getting their, you know, getting it in, had their little boo thing, and they was making fun of her the whole time, and I was just like, first of all, offended, second of all, y'all. But no, seriously, it's just like, stop making people feel bad because they're not with someone, especially because there are people who are okay with that. Like, it's not an issue. So that was my, you know, issue with that. And that's honestly, don't even get me started on the Parkers. Oh, when I make that video for the Parkers, Miss Nikki Parker, sis, you need help. I love you, but you need help. And Stanley was not all bad. But I'm a reel it in. Now, there was an episode where Moesha was at a party and all her exes were there. If I had friends who did that, we would never be friends. We'd never speak again. Next, I did appreciate Dee's Caribbean heritage being represented when she would do her little accent, talk about how she went to Jamaica. I realized, like, you know, back in the day, during the 90s, most of the representation, even if the characters, the actors who played the characters may have been of Caribbean descent, we didn't technically usually hear that in the script. It was just, you know, Black people, like Black American culture in general, or just, you know, just a whole bunch of Black people. That's it. Simple as that. You're of African descent, call it a day. But I did appreciate them showing, like, you know, the island, you know, descent, and she talked about like the food she was cooking. I thought that was awesome. I love that, because it wasn't until I think with the Jamie Foxx show, which came out later that same year that Moesha came out, which I believe was 96, if I'm not wrong. Then we had Fancy, who was, you know, Haitian, giving us that little Haitian flavor, which I think there was an episode where they had like Haitian food or Haitian patty or something. I don't remember. I be having random memories. But anyways, so I really did appreciate Dee being Jamaican and just kind of showing her roots and stuff. And I don't know, I just do wish there was more shows like that. I'm praying on my lucky stars I could be one of the people to kind of bring that to life one day. Me and my Caribbean girlies and whatnot. Girlies and boys, whatever. Before I go into this one, because this one's a little bit like dark. Well, not really dark, but I know that I could already see if this becomes a popular video, there are gonna be people in my comments like, oh, y'all do too much, y'all the woke crowd, y'all just do way too much. Baby, I might be woke, but I take naps. It do not be that serious to me. It's just that when I see a spade, I'm gonna call it a damn spade, and it is what it is. But before I do that, let me just say my favorite characters were Adele, Kim, and Dee. Adele gave the warmth, Kim was funny, Dee gave the balance. I just feel like they wrapped the show up and like held it together, in my opinion. Like Adele was really like the, like, you know how you have like the church mother in the Black church? Like she's a church mother that like of the community, you know, keeping the kids off the street with the den, which that's why I kind of did like my, you know, intro with her, because I just had so much respect for Adele, and the actress who played her, Yvette Wilson, who rest her soul, passed some years ago. And so I don't know, I just wanted to pay homage to her in that way. Like that was just kind of my way of showing respect and love for her and for that character. Kim, hilarious. And that's why she ended up getting her own show. I just didn't like how much they tried to focus on the fatness. It's like, girl, my good sis was actually small and just had a round face. Like, girl, what are you talking about? What are you saying? And then of course Dee with the balance, kind of like trying to get things together, and I think she did a pretty good job, I would say. Now let's get into the grooming. Where do I start? I believe it was season 1. Hakeem ended up being in a relationship short term with a older woman. Mind you, this show is students who are in high school. This woman was in her 20s. We'll stop right there. Later on down the line, Moesha has a crush on her teacher. Her and her teacher end up exchanging a kiss. Now, am I one to be like, oh, it's because of Moesha fast ass. She shouldn't have been in that room with that man. No, she shouldn't have been in that room with that man. However, it's like there is a responsibility that you have as an adult, especially as a teacher, as a respected figure in the community, to control yourself. And if you find that this child is exhibiting any type of inappropriate behavior towards you, it's your responsibility to reel it back in, like, hey, yo, chill out. Which, granted, I'm not going to say he didn't do that, but that kiss didn't need to happen. It could have been like, oh, girl, if you don't get the, you know, and it was this weird attraction between them where it was just like I know she's almost 18, but even if she is, she's still a child, basically. Sir, you're in like your well-off late 20s, maybe early 30s. Then, number 3, the case of Mr. Dorian, who ended up dating an older woman as well. And it was just this constant theme. But you know what? Again, like I said in the beginning, this is a reflection of the times and things that were culturally accepted. How many of us, I'm gonna be honest, in high school, you know, as young girls were like, oh, like, you know, he's older, oh, he's cute, he's edgy or whatever, and you wanted to be with him, right? Not saying it was a good thing, but again, it's still the responsibility of the adult to be like, this is inappropriate. I shouldn't be dealing with you because, first of all, it's illegal and it's immoral, it's disgusting. So with that being said, I just felt like that constant theme was interesting, and it wasn't ever fully addressed. Like they would kind of, and then it would stop. And then at Moesha's 18th birthday party, the teacher was there, and they're like dead flirting, and I think they went to the movies eventually or something. And I was just like, this is, y'all doing too much. It's making me itch. I don't like this theme. And then, like I said, with Dorian, at the end of the seasons, he ended up being with the older woman. But the thing I did like is one of her friends addressed it, was like, oh, girl, you about to go to jail. Like, you know, like, this is not okay. So I'm saying all this to say, I appreciated how real, raw, and authentic the show Moesha was. It brought in all of these different ideas, concepts like growing pains, you know, teenagehood, parenthood, having a step parent in the house, and with the cultural, the spoken word jams, like all of these different things build a community and just kind of show you what it is, you know, and it really put that on display. And unlike the Cosby Show, shit got real. I mean, shit did get real on the Cosby Show, don't be wrong, but like with Moesha, I do believe there was a level of rawness that was allowed that I appreciated. So it was kind of like, in a sense, kind of like a spin-off. I'm not even gonna say a spin-off, not a spin-off of the Cosbys, but just like, here's a different type of family. We're not all in this perfect nuclear, everyone is like, you know, this is the parent who had children with this particular parent and this is how it's always been. One mom, one dad, one girl, one boy, etc. Like, no, there were layers to everyone. And as much as I can't stand Frank Mitchell's bitch ass and Moesha's annoying ass, I still could appreciate the characters for what it's worth. And again, back to the grooming, in the college episodes, there was this episode where Miles was in love with Moesha's roommate. Mind you, Miles is what, like 10? And granted, it is what it is. Little boys and little girls, sometimes, you know, they'll have crush on adults. It happens. I understand that. But I was just like, this shit not weird to y'all that y'all like, he's believing that he has a chance with her and nobody's sitting him down to really address like, Miles, like you can't really be with her, like you're a child. And I think, no, I'm lying, I think Moesha did eventually say it, but of course kids are like, I don't want to listen, whatever. But I feel like the roommate, she was low-key being inappropriate because it's like you're kind of allowing him to feel like, oh, you have a chance, and it's just like, girl, if you don't tell this little boy to go sit down, like, ma'am. So the grooming on that show, and I don't even know if I really want to call it grooming per se, but it just was kind of just like, it's kind of weird, like, but as weird as it is, it's real. And you know, with all the stuff that we've learned about what was going down in the 90s with different relationships and people who should, you know, have not been with people and situations, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's not surprising. It's not surprising, and it's not necessarily a flaw of the writers. I think what I would say is there were plot holes where I'm just like, maybe we could have addressed this differently. Maybe we could have done this in a different way. Maybe this could have been like this, you know? But regardless, I do think they were trying. For what it's worth, they were definitely trying, and it's not a bad show. It is not a bad show. However, my overall rating would be, drumroll please, 6 out of 10. Now, I know you guys are probably gonna be like, that's not a good rating. Yeah, but still, I just felt like for me, it wasn't my favorite show. I prefer the Parkers over it for sure. But anyways, I say all that to say, like I said, I think Moesha was a 6 out of 10 in my opinion. Not a terrible show. The elements were very interesting. A lot of interesting themes going on. They had celebrity guests, all this type of stuff going on. I think Jodeci was like in the first season. Essentially, it was an interesting show. It definitely was interesting. There was a point where I started watching it and I was like, I can't watch this. It's annoying the hell out of me. But then I just was like, let me just power through it. And I watched it. And for what it's worth, I enjoyed it. So I think that you guys should definitely go check out Moesha on Netflix right this minute. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, the theme, the way that I did things, please, please, please let me know. As a creative, I work very hard and I don't got much to work with. It is what it is. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please, 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 please give me a thumbs up, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you love my energy, I love yours too. What's up? Let's make it do what it do. You are going to be getting more content from me, more videos. I am in a much better space mentally for the most part. And hey, sometimes it might be Wednesday, sometimes it might be Friday, sometimes it might not happen. I'm trying. And that's what counts. Period. All right, y'all. It's a wrap. Deuces. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you later.